Okay, so our next presenter is Godin from Initiative for Sustainable Aviation Technologies. I just want to say one thing about fabric. There is another connecting point with the mining industry in that those semiconductors, some of those semiconductors may require materials that come from the mining industry. So we feed them with materials, they feed us with sensors. So there's a connection there. Okay, go ahead, Godin. Sorry.
Thank you, Charles. Very happy to be here. So we're going to go from deep below to way up above. So INSAT's been created very recently. So we got the news of the funding in 2023, but we're really ramping up right now. And it's a almost $900 million initiative, $350 million from the Strategic Innovation Fund for the next 6 to 7 years. As you know, I'm not too familiar with the mining sector, but in aerospace, product development cycles are very long. So we need to get started very quickly to really reach full impact in the next few years. So really why the government is funding the sector to that level is that right now we account for 3% of the total carbon emission. If nothing's being done, if we stay the course, because of the other industries decarbonizing at their own rhythm, aerospace could actually, or aviation could count for almost a quarter of the emissions by 2050 if nothing's being done. So we really need to tackle this issue right away. So what's our mission? So we want to accelerate the aerospace sector toward environmental sustainability, and we want to do that by accelerating technology development and the uptake of green aviation technologies in Canada. And we're going to do that through different means. So we do receive government contributions that we will redistribute in various projects, so clean technology projects for aviation. Similar to other SIF networks, we want to build the ecosystem, build a strong network of members. We want to develop the technology capabilities, but also train the workforce of tomorrow to use and to deploy those technologies and create new ones as well. And one unique element for aviation, as you know, or you may not know, but certification is a major issue for any aviation technology. So part of the goal of the network will also be to provide access to demonstrator platforms to expedite that road to certification for some of the companies that cannot actually bear the cost of developing or certifying those technologies. So for the technology development part of it, really our idea is that we want to use the background IP from companies. Our projects will always involve at least one small and medium company, and then any kind of setup you want, major OEMs, academic collaborators, but always need that SME. And we want the background IPs to combine and create new IP going forward. And the reason I brought this slide is that you see that there's an expectation from government that we will try to bridge across sectors, because the challenges of aerospace are certainly not unique, and glad to have listened today to many of the presentations, and you'll see in our technology pillars that there's so much crosstalk, so it's important that we don't do that work in isolation. And building the ecosystem, I think pretty much everyone in this room, we all have the same goals pretty much, right? We want the supply chain. I just left the largest event in aerospace in Canada, the Canadian Aerospace Summit, last 2 days in Ottawa. I don't know how many times I heard, we had 3 ministers actually attend, and they all talk about the resilient supply chain, and in the context, the geopolitical context right now, there's very, very strong emphasis on that. So we want to build that chain and maintain it in Canada, try to be self-sustainable. And so I mentioned that if we don't do anything, so that's the dotted line at the top. So that's the trajectory actually that the sector is taking. You see that a significant reduction of the carbon emission is slated to be due to the use of sustainable aviation fuel. The reason is that you see we're going to be putting sustainable aviation fuel in fleets that are going to be in service for a long time. As I mentioned, even if we bring new propulsion today, new aircraft architectures, they're not going to be in service for the next, at least 10 to 12 years. So in the meantime, if we put sustainable aviation fuel in those legacy airframes, we're going to contribute to the reduction. But we don't have production in Canada right now. This is certainly a challenge, not only for our sector, but for many. So how do we ensure a constant supply of sustainable aviation fuel? That's the challenge. Other fuels as well. So I mentioned the fuel from feedstock, but there's so many new things that could be explored. Economic measures, it's carbon tax and others, but we need other technologies as well, and we need to generate savings in the way we operate in the sector. So those are the other percentage. So you see that it's multi-pronged approach. So INSAT will support technology development across 4 main pillars. But we have those pillars to guide the community, but we're not necessarily excluding anything right now. So going from propulsion, new propulsion, aircraft systems, architectures, the clean fuels, and infrastructure operation technologies. And in this one, you see that we're talking about AI, we're talking about automation. But you see in there that hydrogen is certainly a strong contender. And I can imagine the challenge being any different. You know, you don't want to sit in an airplane with an unsafe hydrogen storage, and I wouldn't go deep in a mine with vehicles operating on hydrogen with unsafe reservoirs and things like that. So I think creating that hydrogen storage and transport system is just an example where the sectors could actually have some synergy going on. We're pan-Canadian, presently based in Montreal. No surprise there with the concentration of aerospace activity there. I'm based in Ottawa personally, but we really make great efforts to bring, we think the best innovation will come from SMEs that we don't know today, regardless of where they are in Canada. We do have presence in BC, Alberta, Ontario, Quebec, of course, and Atlantic. I'm not going to bore you. You'll have the presentation. If you're interested in projects, I just put that there knowing that the slides would be distributed. But I'll leave it at that as an overview. And I apologize. I'm not going to stick around. I have the plane to catch to go back. But certainly, please reach out, and looking forward to how we can work together. And I'd like to mention, I have my colleague, Sahar. She's right there in the room. She's our boots on the ground in Ontario. And as I mentioned, she has colleagues across Canada. So don't hesitate if you want to discuss how your projects may fit, or if you want to be a member and be part of the adventure, we'll be happy to discuss. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Denis. Appreciate that. And again, I think that whole hydrogen space is something that we should pay attention to, because mining is investigating that area. And I think the risks that come with hydrogen are true for mining, true for aerospace. So hopefully we can work together there.